Hello friends, in the first video of environmental philosophy, I explained the ethics. Now, I am explaining you the environmental ethics in our society. There are two types of society, urban and rural. So, I will explain you these ethics with respect to urban and rural societies. So, as you know that ethical values correlating with the successful life. In every part of society, ethics play a very important role in development of personality. Time spent by the individuals on ethics is the key in having a successful life and career. But when we talk about the environmental ethics in society, meaning is totally different. It deals with the thoughts, moral responsibilities, and holistic approach towards the nature and environmental component like air, water, soil, earth, sun, plants, animal, microbes, etc. Many societal views correlating environmental ethics with the integrity. It is the single most important value a person can have. It is your most powerful weapon. In this chapter, we discuss the environmental ethics in different societies. Now come to the first, we discuss environmental ethics in a rural society. Man started their life as other wild animals. The initial resides in the forest and natural habitat. Rural societies are earliest human groups gradually developed. So acquiring the knowledge of agriculture, they aggregated in the groups known as the villages. So agricultural development, people began to lead a settled life and human communities becomes more stationary, spatially near the rivers and other water resources. India is a land of the village, and majority of the villages are small, with around 5,000 persons per village. The social life of the rural society has its own special characteristics. Sociologists thinking that for defining an Indian village, its population, physical structure, and the mode of production of the livelihood are definitely very important. Generally, a village has less than 5,000 individuals. It is rightly said that India is a country of village because agriculture is the main occupation of the people of India, and majority of the people in India live in the villages. Rural societies help in strengthening our social bonds and bringing stability to our society in many ways. Rural societies also help our society by preserving our environmental and culture. The rural societies had undergone the considerable change in the recent past, particularly since the independence as a result of a series of the land reforms legislations that have accelerated the pace of this change. India has a rich cultural heritage and is a land of diversity. The diversity in social life is reflected in a multi-social, multilingual, multi-religious, and multi-caste nature of the society. Presently, approximately 70 to 80% of Indian population belonging to the rural society. The important features of the Indian social structures are predominant rural habitation in small villages, multi-religious and multi-caste social identities, and important role of family in the social life. So, in this topic, I discussed about the rural society. In early times, the man is like the animal. They live in the forest, but as they get the knowledge of agriculture, they aggregated in small groups. They settled. The settlement of that group is known as the village. Now, the villages have about 5,000 families in a village. In the villages, their moral values, their religious nature preserve our environment. So, what are the advantages of rural society with respect to environment? This is the next topic. First advantage is unpolluted air, water, and the soil. Due to the less industrial activities and less number of the vehicles in rural society, you will find pure water, air, and the soil in rural society. As compared to the urban, rural society using the organic farming, green manuring, vermicompost, cow manure instead of harmful chemical fertilizer and pesticides. Now, scientists of the world also recommending these types of agricultural practices to minimize the health problems and pollution level. Rich biological diversity as As you know that the main occupation of the rural society is the agriculture. They cultivate different types of crops, fruit, medicinal plants in their territory. Therefore, will find more natural resources and biodiversity in rural society. Rural societies also preserve and conserve sacred groves, which are great repositories of biodiversity. Third advantage is no are the minimum use of chemical fertilizer. People of the rural society cultivating the crops with the help of the cow manure, biofertilizer, green manure. These types of agricultural practices are certainly helpful to conserve the biodiversity of the terrestrial and aquatic ecosystem. The fourth advantage is rich number of the sacred groves. Rural societies has rich number of the sacred groves. Sacred groves are religiously important groups. In India, about 13,000 sacred groups are present in the different states, and most of these sacred groups are located in the rural areas. Minimum generation of the non-biodegradable waste. Peoples of the rural society generally depend on their natural products and believe in the traditional method of lifestyles. Therefore, they generate less non-biodegradable as compared to the urban society. Due to the minimum influence of the urbanization and industrialization in rural societies, certainly leading to the minimum generation of the solid waste and the non-biodegradable waste. High respect of the local flora and the fauna. As earlier mentioned, that the rural society mostly dependent of the natural products such as the fruit, food, medicines, agricultural equipment, etc. Therefore, they respect nature and hygiene. Peoples of the rural society respecting medicinal plants, local crops, cow, buffalo, snakes, crow, pigeons, and almost all the creatures surrounding them, they know they cannot survive without the natural resources. The best example is the Nag Panchami, in which we worship the Nag. That's why Nags are safe. We doesn't kill these snakes. We have our moral values, our religious nature helps to preserve our environment. This is the best example. What are the disadvantages of the rural society with respect to the environment? The lack of scientific knowledge about the environment and local flora and fauna. Second is the no advanced remedial measure of the natural disasters such as the flood and earthquake, etc. So these disadvantages are not very important. Ultimately, we can decide that the rural societies help in preserving the environment. Now come to the second society, urban society. What is the role of urban society in preserving our environment? In this topic, as we know that the urban areas is where all the facilities such as the school, hospital, malls, well-developed roads are easily accessible. Urban areas has its typical characteristic determined by variables as a mix of power, space, market as a result of the development in science and technology and industrial development. Due to industrial development, there is a urbanization as a result of which urban societies are created. Urban areas are derived from the rural. It is also noted that every village possesses some elements of the urban society, while every city possesses some features of the village. Different criteria are used to decide a society as urban. Some of them are population and legal limits, types of occupation, social organization. On these criteria, we decide the cities, the area is urban or rural. The city in the word of the Louis Wirth referring to, this is the advanced definition of what is the city or the urbanization, urban society. So Louis Wirth described as a relatively large, dense, and permanent settlement of socially heterogeneous individuals, known as urban society. So the large area and dense population, more population in a very limited area, and permanent settlement. They live there permanent. Their homes are built of concrete and cement. Socially heterogeneous means the peoples living in the urban areas are heterogeneous in nature, means they have different working. Some are the teachers, some are the scientists, some are the railway engineers, um, some have big business. So their nature is hetero. The meaning of urban society. An urban society is characterized by the higher population density and vast human feature in comparison to the rural society. Urban societies are created from the rural societies and again developed by the process of urbanization. Urban societies should fulfill the following criteria: a minimum population of 5,000 in that. Minimum 75% of working people should have an agriculture occupation. So first and second, defining that at least a minimum 5 lakh persons must reside in the urban area. And 75% of them must working in private or public sector or in government job, having their business, but not the agriculture. Third, a density of population of at least 400 persons per square kilometer. So urbanization, referring to a process which emphasizes the land settlement and complete transformation of economy from agriculture to the industrial, commercial, dependent on the institutions of modern living. The urban society is heterogeneous and known for its diversity and complexity. Urban society is far away from the diverse biodiversity, natural resources, and the nature. So finally, we decide what are the advantages of urban society. First, sanitation and good hygiene values. They are literate. They have remedial measures for the epidemic diseases because hospitals are very near, and in the city there are many government and private hospitals, but villages doesn't have them. Fourth, well-developed infrastructure and accessibility of roads. So this is all about the rural and urban society with respect to environmental ethics. So friends, if you like this video, please subscribe. Thank you.